Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Madiope, for giving me this opportunity to present the curriculum differentiation for learners with specific barriers. This lesson is presented by Dr. ME Maebana, that is Teaching Strategies for Inclusivity, the module code INC4802 from the Department of Inclusive Education. This lesson presentation is structured as follows. We will have the introduction of curriculum differentiation, the benefits of curriculum differentiation, differentiating curriculum content, making decisions about curriculum differentiation, curriculum differentiation for learners with specific impairments, curriculum differentiation for learners with intellectual impairments, curriculum differentiation for learners with visual impairments, curriculum differentiation for learners with hearing impairments, curriculum differentiation for learners with challenging behavior, curriculum differentiation for learners with attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder, curriculum differentiation for learners with autism spectrum disorder, curriculum differentiation for gifted learners, and lastly, we will have a summary. Without wasting much of our time, let's focus on the learning outcomes for this unit. When you shall have completed Learning Unit 2, you should be able to discuss the benefits of curriculum differentiation. You should be able to analyze examples of curriculum differentiation from given scenarios and case studies. In Learning 2, you will learn more about curriculum differentiation as a mechanism to implement inclusive education in practice. As Liasido cogently reminds us that curriculum differentiation empowers teachers in inclusive classrooms to implement socially just and non-discriminatory pedagogies. In addition, we will learn more about how to adopt or differentiate the what and the how of teaching. According to Westwood 2013, curriculum content is the heart of teaching. It includes the knowledge, concepts, skills, strategies, attitudes, and values on which teachers base their lessons. The how of teaching refers to the teaching strategies that teachers employ to teach the curriculum content. You will also learn about the benefits of curriculum differentiation. Finally, you will apply your knowledge to assess examples of curriculum differentiation in the scenarios and case studies provided. We're saying curriculum differentiation enables teachers to address the diverse needs of learners by adapting content, teaching methods, resources, and assessment. It supports inclusive education by offering an alternative to segregation and promoting equality. And teachers must believe in the potential of all learners and respond to individual differences, helping to create socially just and welcoming schools where everybody or where every learner can thrive. And the purpose of curriculum differentiation is to address learners' individual needs, abilities, and interests, allowing them to learn effectively together in one classroom. Rather than expecting learners to adapt, teachers modify the curriculum to suit diverse learning styles, backgrounds, and preferences. When done well, this approach enhances each learner's growth and development. Differentiating the official curriculum is a complex task, and the official curriculum is described in terms of scope, breadth, and depth, and sequence, the order in which topics, concepts, and skills are taught, and content is presented from simple to complex, and is designed according to the age and abilities. Therefore, many teachers regard curriculum differentiation as dumbing down or watering down curriculum content. When less challenging material is presented or when content is simplified or reduced. So let's look at the benefits of curriculum differentiation. Despite the complexities of curriculum differentiation mentioned above, there are significant benefits of adapting the curriculum for learners who experience barriers to learning. This includes the following: recognizing that all learners are capable of learning, considering every individual learner's learning style and responding to every individual learner's needs, not forgetting to accommodate every individual learner's ability, and further recognizing and building upon every individual learner's strength, and embracing learners' diversity. Let's look at the question of differentiating curriculum content. When addressing the needs of learners who experience barriers to learning, such as those with disabilities, learning difficulties, or socio-emotional challenges, curriculum content must be carefully adapted to ensure accessibility and meaningful participation. One key strategy in curriculum differentiation for these learners is simplifying the content by omitting or reducing the complexity of certain topics that may be overwhelming or developmentally inappropriate. Instead of covering every aspect of the standard curriculum, teachers focus on the most essential knowledge, concepts, and skills that form the foundation of learning. Universal design for learning is guided by the principle of multiple embodiments and aims to make education accessible to all learners, reducing the needs for separate intervention. It emphasizes the importance of focusing on individual learners, which aligns with the core of curriculum differentiation. Therefore, UDL promotes a flexible and ongoing process of design, analysis, and reflection, enabling teachers to adapt teaching in ways that address diverse needs, learning styles, and preferences effectively. Let's look at the impacts of the UDL. Firstly, UDL enhances educational accessibility for all learners without the need for specialist interventions and adaptations, and further employ teaching methods that effectively respond to learners' diversity, including ability, learning style, race, ethnicity, and other characteristics. Not forgetting that UDL also draw upon a variety of methods, including the use of technology, collaborative learning, and multisensory teaching, and further minimize barriers to learning and maximize learning through a flexible and multi-dimensional response to learners' individual needs, capabilities, intelligence, and learning styles, and provide multiple options for learners to participate in the learning process. And lastly, the UDL facilitates many opportunities for learners to interact with learning materials. And let's focus on making decisions about curriculum differentiation. It in emphasizing that teachers play a crucial role in curriculum differentiation by making important decisions about what is to be taught. And to make informed choices, teachers must consider 4 types of knowledge that learners need to acquire. While the image doesn't specify these types in detail, they typically include factual knowledge, where basic facts and information are of great importance. Secondly, conceptual knowledge, where understanding relationships among facts and ideas are of paramount importance. And procedural knowledge, whereby knowing how to do things or follow processes are of great importance. And lastly, metacognitive knowledge, where awareness and understanding of one's own learning processes are of great importance. Then let's look at the declarative knowledge. This refers to factual knowledge, which is essential in all subjects and includes easily recalled information like facts, terms, and basic data. For an example, knowing which continent a country is on, because it forms the foundation of learning. It should generally be taught to all learners without measure reduction, and it aligns with learning outcomes such as all learners will be able to, indicating expected core knowledge for everyone. And the other one that follows, that is the procedural knowledge. Procedural knowledge refers to the understanding of how to perform tasks by following a set of steps or procedures. It involves applying methods, techniques, or processes to complete a specific activity, such as solving a maths problem, conducting a science experiment, or writing an essay using a particular structure. And as we continue, we say this type of knowledge is more action-oriented than factual knowledge. For an example, in mathematics, procedural knowledge includes knowing how to carry out long division. In science, it means following the steps of the scientific method, and in writing, it involves organizing ideas into paragraphs with topic, sentences, and transitions. And because procedural knowledge often requires the application of higher order thinking skills like analysis, synthesis, or evaluation, some learners may struggle and need additional time, support, and practice to master it. For these learners, teachers might need to modify or exclude more advanced procedures, temporarily or permanently, depending on the learner's needs to ensure meaningful engagement and success. Therefore, in inclusive classrooms, this means teachers must be flexible, offering scaffolding, repeated practice visual aids, and simplified steps to support those who need it, while this providing opportunities for all learners to develop procedural understanding to the best of their ability. And let's focus on the strategic knowledge. Strategic knowledge involves the use of mental strategies or action plans to solve problems, complete tasks, or generate new ideas. It relies on combining factual, conceptual, and procedural knowledge to work effectively and efficiently. For an example, A learner might plan how to approach a complex essay or choose the best strategy to solve a math problem. Some learners may struggle to develop these strategies independently. Therefore, they need explicit instruction and guidance on how to approach tasks, such as organizing ideas, breaking down problems, or evaluating solutions to help them become more independent and effective learners. Then let's look at the conceptual knowledge. Conceptual knowledge involves a deep understanding of abstract ideas and their relationships, such as the concept of fairness. It develops over time through experience, instruction, and reflection using target teaching methods. As the CS policy aims to identify barriers to learning, determine support needs related to those barriers, and develop support programs to address their impact on learning. After you shall have done the above section that we have already dealt with, please give yourself time to work on activity 2.1, the activity on curriculum differentiation. The first question, it says, in your own words, explain your understanding of curriculum differentiation. And secondly, what in your opinion do teachers need to do in order to implement curriculum differentiation successfully? Now, let's focus on curriculum differentiation for learners with specific impairments. The upcoming section will explore how to differentiate the curriculum for learners with specific barriers to learning, including those with intellectual, sensory, behavioral, developmental, and emotional challenges, as well as gifted learners. While categorizing learners can lead to stigma and labels, it helps identify effective teaching strategies tailored to each learner's needs. Let's look at curriculum differentiation for learners with intellectual impairment. Westwood 2013 explains that the most extreme form of curriculum differentiation involves offering learners with significant barriers an alternative curriculum focused on functional life, such as self-help and self-management. And these programs often separate learners from their peers, which goes against the principles of inclusive education. Because mainstream classrooms rarely integrate these functional skills, such learners are typically placed in special schools, where life skills are a core part of the curriculum. And curriculum differentiation for learners with visual impairments involves tailoring teaching strategies and material to address the unique visual challenges faced by these students. Visually impaired or visual impairment encompasses a range of eye conditions affecting sight in diverse ways. So it is important not to adopt a one-size-fits-all or stereotypical view. Learners with significant vision loss, especially those who rely on Braille, are considered educationally blind. While these learners are less commonly found in mainstream classrooms, effective differentiation can help maximize their learning by using specialized resources, tactile materials, and assistive technologies tailored to their individual needs. And let's look at the challenges faced by these learners with visual impairment. We're saying learners with visual impairment face several challenges in mainstream education, primarily due to their heavy reliance on visual material such as textbooks, charts, and written instructions, which may not be accessible without proper adaptations. They often depend on assistive technologies like braille, screen readers, or magnifiers, and may struggle with slower information processing. Social interaction can also be limited, leading to isolation as peer understanding and classroom inclusion may be lacking. Therefore, physical barriers in the classroom, such as poor layout or inadequate lighting, further restrict mobility and independence. Additionally, many teachers lack training in differentiating instruction for visually impaired learners, and accessible learning materials are often limited, especially in visually demanding subjects. Therefore, standard assessment may also not accommodate their needs, preventing them from demonstrating their true capabilities. And let's look at the second one, that is curriculum differentiation for learners with hearing impairments. We say hearing impairments includes a wide range of hearing loss, from mild to profound, and can significantly impact a learner's ability to access spoken language and communication in the classroom. Unlike visible disabilities, hearing loss often goes unnoticed, which means that these learners may not receive timely or adequate support. This is because their difficulties are not always obvious. Therefore, teachers and peers may mistakenly assume they are inattentive or academically weak, rather than recognizing the communication barrier. And one of the most critical consequences of hearing impairment is its effect on language acquisition. Everyday classroom interactions, such as verbal instruction, group discussion, or incidental learning, can be confusing or inaccessible, especially in noisy environments or when visual cues are limited. This can result in frequent misunderstanding, frustration, and reduced participation. Over time, such challenges may lead to feelings of exclusion, low self-esteem, and difficulties forming social relationships, contributing to emotional and social development delays. Therefore, it is crucial for teachers to use inclusive strategies like visual aids, sign language, written instructions, and face-to-face communication, and to ensure a supportive classroom environment that fosters clear communication and emotional well-being. And let's look at the strategies to support learners with hearing impairment in the classroom. Teachers should learn about the effects of hearing loss before meeting a learner with a hearing impairment for the first time. Let the learner know that you know that he or she is deaf. Take time to engage in one-to-one conversation. And by so doing, you will be establishing a rapport and reduce the likelihood of losing track of what is being said and missing information. And it is easier to clear up misunderstandings in this way. And don't forget to establish peer support groups to reduce isolation, mobilize mutual support, and create opportunities to share experiences. And teachers need to develop their own facilitation skills. And lastly, we're saying teachers should foster learner involvement and choice. And let's look at the curriculum differentiation for learners with challenging behavior. We're saying challenging behavior, which includes aggression, self-injury, tantrums, and other risky actions can be emotionally overwhelming for teachers. It often stems from a learner's inability to communicate effectively and may serve as means to express unmet needs or desires. Such behavior can impact the safety and well-being of the learner, peers, and family, and significantly reduce their quality of life. As we continue, we're saying teachers and parents should seek to understand the reasons behind challenging behavior. This can be possible only and only if teachers can give themselves enough opportunity to recognize that it may be a call for attention. In addition, emphasis should be placed on reinforcing positive behavior and identifying both setting events which raise anxiety and lower tolerance, and triggers which occur right before the behavior. And understanding these factors can help adults prevent and manage challenging behaviors more effectively. To better understand and accommodate learners with challenging behavior, teachers can employ several effective strategies in their classrooms. This can be possible if teachers can conduct functional behavior assessments, which helps identify the reasons behind the behavior by observing patterns and triggers. In addition, this can build positive relationship with learners, fosters trust, creates a supportive environment while reinforcing positive behavior through praise and rewards, encouraging appropriate conduct. In addition, establishing the clear routines and expectation provides structure and reduce uncertainty. And let's look at curriculum differentiation for learners with attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder. We're saying attention deficit or hyperactivity disorder is the most common neurobiological disorder in children and adolescents. Symptoms typically include impulsive, hyperactive, and inattention. Then let's take a closer look at the symptoms as presented in table 2.1 below. We have got the following, that is in attention. So under inattention, we're finding out that the learners, they have got difficulty in focus. They experience much problems in giving attention on organizing and completing a task. Such kinds of learners are easily distracted and they easily forget things. And they frequently switch from one activity to another, and they are always bored when they are in the classroom, and they often lose things. And let's look at those who are having hyperactive learners. Those learners who are hyperactive, they always engage themselves in talking. That is, they talk continuously. They have got some elements of fidgets. They are unable to sit still. They keep on constantly moving from point A to point B, from point B to point C, and they find it difficult to complete their given tasks. And let's look at impulsivity. With impulsivity, they acts with no regard to consequence. They are always impatient. They blurt out inappropriate comments, and they find it difficult to wait for their turn, and they often interrupt others. And let's look at the strategies to support learners with ADHD in the classroom. When supporting this kind of learners, you need to be clear and consistent and speak clearly and concisely. And follow them or follow the same daily routine and inform learners of changes in advance if possible. Communicate clearly what a lesson's goals are and what they will learn and what your expectations are. Organize the classroom. Use a sticky note on the learner's desk to remind him or her to remain focused on the task. And during physical activity tasks, keep instructions simple and structured. And let's look at the curriculum differentiation for learners with autism spectrum disorder. That is, ASD is defined as a complex neurodevelopmental disorder. As McConville 2007 notes that individuals with autism spectrum disorder experience many challenges regarding social interaction. They often struggle to relate to the thoughts and feelings of others and are unsure how to behave towards them. This is compounded by their difficulty to understand and use language. They require support to develop receptive and expressive language to enable them to communicate with others. And they find it difficult in interpreting verbal information and remembering a sequence of instructions, which is common. As we continue, we're saying many learners with ASD experience considerable challenges in relation to the social demands of schooling, particularly the pressure of social conformity. Interacting with teachers and peers is often not a positive experience, since many learners with autism need structure. The absence of structure during playtime and break possesses a considerable challenge, and teachers should also consider the difficulties learners may experience when compelled to cooperate with peers during group work, which is extensively implemented in the classroom. And let's look at the strategies to support learners with ASD in the classroom. To support learners with ASD in the classroom, teachers can create a structured and predictable environment with clear routines and visual schedules to reduce anxiety. And using clear, concise language and providing step-by-step instructions helps with comprehension. It's important to offer sensory breaks and a quiet space to help learners manage sensory overload. Social skills can be supported through guided interactions and modeling appropriate behavior. Additionally, incorporating the learner's interest and increased engagement, while positive reinforcement encourages desired behaviors. And collaboration with parents and specialists ensures consistency and tailored support. In summary, we're saying today's exercises focused on curriculum differentiation and strategies to support diverse learners in inclusive classroom. Key concepts included the importance of adapting curriculum content, teaching methods and assessment to meet learners' varied needs, abilities, and interests. Therefore, universal design for learning was highlighted as a flexible framework to accommodate all learners without the needs for specialist intervention. We further explored the types of knowledge teachers must consider, that is factual, procedural, strategic, and conceptual, and how to adjust this for learners facing barriers. And specific learners groups were discussed, including those with visual and hearing impairment, challenging behavior, ADHD, and autism spectrum disorder, outlining their unique challenges and practical teaching strategies to enhance inclusion and learning outcomes, and the importance of understanding behavior, reinforcing positive actions, and collaborating with parents and specialists was emphasized throughout our lesson presentation. And in conclusion, we're saying effective curriculum differentiation and inclusive teaching practices are essential for addressing the diverse needs of learners, especially those experiencing barriers. And by understanding individual learner profiles and applying target strategies, educators can create supportive, equitable learning environments that promote participation, growth, and development for all learners. Ultimately, inclusive education relies on flexibility, empathy, and ongoing reflection to ensure every learner can reach their full potential. And this marks the end of our presentation for today. Thank you very much, Mr. Mariope, for giving me this opportunity once more.